Good afternoon. Look, excited for the opportunity to get into the regular season. I think the guys are ready to go. Had a conversation with them this morning about how we need to play the game and how we need to be fundamentally sound and be prepared for anything. This is a high awareness game, and it's always like that at the beginning part of the season. I know everyone talks about the kickoff and kickoff return. What's that going to look like? But really, when you look back on the preseason, teams really just go out there and run basic things over and over and over again. We'll see some things that we don't see on film, and once again, it's a huge awareness game. But excited for the opportunity. I think, like I said earlier, I think the guys are ready to go. Well, we'll be ready to go, I should say.
In your mind, what do you need to do as a team, to get out of there with a win?
Yeah, I think we have to go out there and really be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think we need to, play well on special teams as well. But it's about the line of scrimmage. It's about controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the game. They have a high-powered team. They have a high-powered offense, and I think the defense is aggressive because they know they have a high-powered offense, in my opinion. So, those guys on defense, they fly around. They do a lot of good things, and, don't forget about special teams. Those guys play very aggressive, and we have to be able to combat that.
What do you mean by a high awareness game?
Yeah, so when I talk about awareness, like the most important thing, starts with down and distance. What's the score in the game? Where's the quarterback? Where's the tight? Like who's in the game? Where are the big three on offense? Those are the big keys in my opinion.
Big three meaning Burrow, Chase, Higgins.
Yes, sir.
And then Lou and how would you describe his defense? I heard you use the word aggressive.
Yeah, Lou, those guys, they send, whether it's the star, the nickel corner, coming off the edge, the linebackers, they send people from everywhere, and they're very fundamentally sound. And we also have to be sound in our approach offensively. And like I said earlier, you can settle games down by running the football and control the game that way. And I think that has to be one of the things that we get done.
Wide receiver, we saw a lot of Taekwon, Mayo, Jalen, and KJ. How do you plan on divvying up those snaps in the game?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Early in the season, it's tough to sit here and say, like, this guy can go out there and play 60 plays because no one has done that to this point. And so all those guys have to be ready to go, and they'll all play. So,
How much, if at all, can you rely on the fact that you have a quarterback and an offensive coordinator that's seen these guys many times before?
yeah. Look, they offer, great insights on both sides of the football. Look, they're familiar with those guys, the team, the players, the scheme. Now, in saying that, every year is different. If you were to look at, Cincy 2 years ago, the offense and the defense still looks a little bit different. Now, will they go back to some of the things that they've done in the past? Absolutely. But this goes back to just being on, high awareness. Having high awareness is the most important thing.
Maybe a week or so into training camp, you sort of challenged Christian Gonzalez. You were talking about the secondary in general, but you mentioned him by name. How do you feel like he's sort of handled the responsibilities and maybe some pressure that you're putting on him?
Yeah, he's handled it well. Look, Gonzo is a man of few words, as we all know, but I'm just telling you, he has the skill set to be a premier corner in this league, and I'm excited to see his continued growth and see where it goes.
Jerod, on Monday you talked about, there's still things that you're learning, you're kind of learning on the fly, big job. Is there one thing that stuck out to you, a lesson that you've already learned since taking over?
I couldn't put my finger on just one thing. Every day is different. I had a great conversation at the owners' meetings with Mike Tomlin, and he said, "Look, and he's a veteran coach in this league, and he said every day is going to be different," and he wasn't lying, and that's how it's been so far.
He told us at the combine, so we're going back months, obviously, that part of his approach is to prioritize playing time for young players. What has been communicated to you as you decide who will play and how much, knowing that's an emphasis for the team this year and moving forward?
Yeah, we're definitely aligned in that. And ultimately, it's still my decision, like who plays and how much they play. But we have conversations throughout the week as far as the process is concerned. But once again, going back to our practice squad players, or even, those second stringers, we're preparing those guys like they're starters, and they should think that they're always starters. We're one play away from those guys really sliding in and being an impactful player for us.
Coach, how would you sum up your strategy when it comes to developing a young player?
Well, I think it starts like you become good at football by playing football. it's one thing for guys to go out there and read a card. I mean, it's a very reactive game. And then offensively, everyone has to really see the same picture through the same set of goggles. So when I talk about developing, it's just about going out there, working on your fundamentals and learning the scheme. Knowing what to do is definitely a huge part of it. And then how to do it, that's through experience on the field.
Based on what you've seen this summer, training camp, preseason games, all that, how confident are you in your offense's ability to run the football effectively?
I think that's one of the best things they've done throughout the entire camp, and hopefully that continues going forward.
How difficult is it preparing for the Bengals offense when we don't know what Chase is going to be like?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I've told our guys we're going to prepare like he's playing. I think you have to prepare that way, and if he doesn't play, we'll treat it like an injury. But he's a premier player in this league without a doubt, and we have to be ready for him.
Just to get back to the run game, what have you seen from that specific piece of your offense that has been encouraging?
I would say on both sides of the ball during the preseason, I thought we played physical up front. And I thought they were able to move bodies and run the football, and we'll see if that continues going forward.
Coach, will see out of your quarterback. It's a good game for him.
Yeah, the number one thing for me is making the right decision. We talk about the correlation between turnovers and wins and losses. I just want to see the offense put drives together. I want to see the quarterback go out there and make good throws, go through his reads, and perform like we know he can.
Coach, when it comes to this Bengals defensive front, do you expect any type of philosophical change? It seems like you replaced DJ Reader with Sheldon Rankins, and also with Trey Hendrickson. What's made him such a prolific player over the past few years?
I'll say one thing about Trey, and don't forget about Hubbard as well on the opposite side. All those guys up front do a good job, and like I said earlier, they're aggressive and they bring players from all over. So you can sit there and say, well, it's just these four guys always coming, but that's not always the case. Look, Trey has everything that you want in a defensive end. He has a great motor, great technique. And look, over the last few years, he's put up big numbers, so he's definitely a target for us.
I know in years past, the team would prepare for non-divisional opponents or opponents you don't see very often way early in the offseason. How much work has already been done with the Bengals before you start?
There was a lot of work. We look at those teams, throughout the year, and once again, it's hard to really say all right, we got it in the summertime because there are so many transactions and injuries and things that happen. This week is, this is a normal week for us. Wednesday we'll go over our early down stuff and we'll just progress through the week like normal. But that work ahead of time definitely helps give us a jump start.
What stands out to you about Jalen Polk and just what you've seen from him up to this point in the calendar?
Yeah, look, he's a hard worker. In college, one of the things that really jumped out on tape for me was his ability to block. I think he's a good blocking receiver, and look, we're going to need that. As we continue to talk about running the football, everyone has to be out there blocking. It's not just the offensive linemen. Our receivers need to block, and I think Polk does a good job at that. Now, run after catch, he can do all that stuff, and he has great hands, great route running ability.
For you personally, you remember getting ready for your first game as a player, getting ready for as a head coach now, you go through the preseason. What have you learned the most heading into this game that helped you feel more prepared than you were maybe a couple months ago?
Yeah, one thing I would say going through the preseason, just from an operational standpoint and having, multiple channels on your headset, that was a learning curve for me, but it went smooth in the preseason. Hopefully that continues going forward.
Another run game question for you when you get a second.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
So polite.
Has this been a drastic change from 22 and 23 to what you're doing now with Alex's offense in the run game specifically? And does the personnel suit it exactly as you would wish, or does that have to be a meld?
Yeah, I would say, look, as far as personnel, we're always trying to get better players. Now, from a scheme standpoint, and I guess this will be an educational series for everyone in the room, on early downs, there are only really 5 different types of runs. All right, so they try to dress things up no matter who you're talking about. You have zone to the tight end side, you have zone to the open side, you have, the gap scheme, and then you have some of the, the trickier runs. But, for the most part, early downs is pretty basic and standard across the league. Now, in saying that, once you get to third down, that's when you start to get the exotic things. And, I feel good about the personnel that we have out there, and I feel like, we have to run the ball as a team going forward to win football games.
I know this is almost 2 years ago, but the last time we saw them, they have a lot of similar personnel. Just what do you remember about that matchup and specifically your game plan going in?
Yeah, I would say defensively, third down was a struggle, and those get back on track, second and long plays were a struggle for us in that game. That's one thing that definitely sticks out to me.
Jerod has historically protected the ball well. What have you seen from him?
Sorry, say it.
Historically, Jacoby has avoided turnovers.
Yep.
What have you seen from him throughout the years and why he's going to protect the ball?
Yeah, going back, to the spring, just being familiar with the offense first and foremost, and then I would say secondly, he makes the right decisions, and I think he gives us the best chance to win games based on his experience. He's done it. He's played out there, and hopefully, we can talk about this after the game. There's no turnovers, no INTs.
Settled on the offensive alignment will be the same that we saw in the last preseason game, or some form of that?
Yeah, it'll be some form of that. We're still kind of going through it, though.
Jerod, you've gone through the experience of having a season-ending injury and then coming back the following year. Raekwon McMillan is doing that for the second time in his career as a Patriot over the course of the last few years. What have you seen from him in his time here, and I guess the respect and admiration you might have for not only what it takes to be on the field for week one?
I would say personally for me, I went through that 3 times, so I have him beat, and I understand the psychological component to getting back out there and playing. I would say he's always been a leader since the first time he stepped in the doors, and even when he was injured, he was still doing things on the back end, similar to how it was for me when I went through that.
Other than the obvious physical skills, what makes Jerod Chase such a special player?
Sorry, say it again.
Other than the obvious physical talent.
Yeah. Look, this guy's a great competitor. You see him going up, battling with corners and safeties. He's a great competitor, so that's the one non-physical thing I would say about him that makes him a special player.
Running the team, when you were a player or even now as a coach, what can you do to install the mentality of your running team?
I think I would say toughness for me, the first place you really see toughness is in the weight room. That's the first place that you can see if your team is tough or not. And then secondly, I would say, after seeing these guys each and every day during camp and the progress they've made in the running game and their mentality, it's been great. And that unit is led by Dave Andrews, who's one of the toughest guys I've been around.
You mentioned the
bonus question.
You mentioned the Bengals with their pressure packages, but with Lou Anarumo specifically, what is it that you see from him that makes him such a renowned defensive coordinator?
Kind of hit on it already. It's you don't know where these guys are coming from. That's a hard thing. I think he does a good job with that stuff. Thanks, guys.